Hi and welcome. My name is Ton and I'm the co-founder of Productivity Me. In this video, we're going to look at the top 11 keyboard shortcuts in Microsoft Excel for using the file menu. We'll discuss things like using the Ctrl-N keyboard shortcut in order to create a new workbook. We'll look at Ctrl-O to open a new workbook. We'll look at different ways to save and print within Microsoft Excel, as well as ways to minimize and maximize your Excel windows. Lastly, we'll discuss things like how to close the current workbook or the existing Excel application with things like Ctrl F4 or Alt F4. So if this is interesting to you, go ahead and join us in this video. All right, if you want to follow along, go ahead and open up the file Apple Inc. Income Statement 2015. You can find a link to download this specific file in the description section of this video. So let's say that we have some information here and perhaps we're tracking information about Apple's most recent income statements over the four or five quarters of late. Now, if we wanted to create a new workbook, we could go ahead and use our mouse, come up here and go to File, and once in the File menu, we could go to N. That would create a new workbook. But there's actually a much faster way, and the faster way is to use a keyboard shortcut Ctrl-N. So pressing the Control key and the letter N as in Nathan, would automatically create a new workbook. Now, say that we've created this workbook and we actually want to open up an existing workbook. If we wanted to open up an existing workbook, we would use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl-O. So pressing the Control key and the O key will bring us this back end menu here, the File menu, and then it will automatically go to the section of Open, and then we could choose to go to a recent workbook. So maybe we'd want to open up something like Excel Google search rankings, or maybe this backup statement. We could also go to somewhere on our computer. If we're part of the Microsoft OneDrive, the Microsoft Cloud Storage, we could go there, or we could add a location. I'm going to go to my computer, go to Excel, and let's open up example 1, which is more or less a blank document. All right, so what if we wanted to save this workbook? If we wanted to save the workbook, we could press the keyboard shortcut Ctrl-S. Ctrl-S would save that existing workbook. If we had a new workbook, we could generate that with Ctrl-N. Once we've generated that new workbook, if we press the keyboard shortcut Ctrl-S, Ctrl-S will bring up the Save As menu. Now we could save again in the same location. We'll go to Excel and we'll maybe call this example. We'll call this example 4. Once we've entered the name, the file type, and the location, we can hit save and it would automatically save that data. Now, let's say that we've made some changes. Maybe we changed the spreadsheet title to raw data, and this would be maybe something like results. We want to save those changes. If we want to save those changes, we could again use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl-S. However, if we wanted to use the Save As feature, save it as a new file, a new name, a new location, we could again come up here and go to the File menu, go to Save As. But rather than do that, I prefer to use the keyboard shortcut of F12. Pressing the F12 function key will automatically generate that Save As functionality within Microsoft Excel, and we could call this something like example file 4B. And we save, and then let's go ahead and maybe put something like the data, or we could put the word date. Once we save that with Ctrl-S, we could then open up our example 4, and you'll notice that these are two different files. So here we have the example of 4B, example 4B, and here we have 4. So these are two different files, and the way that we got there was by using the keyboard shortcut F12. F12, it will launch the Save As feature within Microsoft Excel, as well as many other Microsoft Office programs. All right, so what if we wanted to print a file? If we wanted to print a file, there are a couple different ways to do that. Of course, we could come to the back end File menu and go to Print, but I much prefer to go ahead and use the keyboard shortcut Control-P. Pressing the keyboard shortcut Control-P will, in Windows, or I guess Microsoft Office 2013, that being Microsoft Excel 2013, bring up this print menu, which has been combined with the print preview. So here we have things like the actual ability to print, choose a number of copies. We can choose our printer, which in some cases you may want to turn it into a PDF, which is totally fine. You can change your settings and or the preview here. Once you've made those changes, you would hit the print button, and because we are creating a PDF, it would generate this setup. I'm going to exit out of this and we'll go to the next keyboard shortcut, which if you're using I think Excel 2010, 2007, or 2003, there may be a differentiation between pressing Ctrl P, which we just looked at, and pressing the keyboard shortcut of Ctrl F2. Pressing Ctrl F2 will generate a print preview. However, in Excel 2013, the print preview and the print menu have been combined. So that means that in Excel 2013, whether you hit Ctrl P or you hit Ctrl F2, both of these actions, both of these keyboard shortcuts will give you the same result. So if you're using Excel 2013, you can either press Ctrl P or Ctrl F2. Now, next, let's look at a couple of different keyboard shortcuts which will allow you to more effectively navigate your windows, your Excel windows. So if you want to minimize an Excel window or essentially restore it down, you can come up here and you can go to this middle button here, this little icon with two squares, and it would restore your window down, meaning it's going to make it a smaller size than it was before. So we want to restore this file here down so that's a little bit smaller, takes up less of our screen. We click this icon here. Now, if we wanted to maximize it, we would click this here. So what is the keyboard shortcut to do that? If you wanted to use the keyboard shortcut to do that, you would press the Windows key. The Windows key is often located in between your Control key and your Alt key on the left side of your keyboard, a little bit to the left of your spacebar. Or if you look on the right side of your keyboard, again, to the right portion of your spacebar, you have the Alt key, then what is often called the Windows key, the menu key, and the Control key. So you press the Windows key and the down arrow, and it would restore that down. So again, you can come here, click this icon, or you can press the Windows key and the down arrow. Now, once you're at a place where your active window is as essentially non-full screen, not fully maximized window, as in this example, if you wanted to minimize that, you could come up here and press this little icon. However, if that was the case, you could also press the Windows key and a down arrow. Pressing the Windows key and a down arrow would minimize that. So if we have a window here that's fully maximized, we press the Windows key and the down arrow once, it would restore it down so that this window is no longer full size. And then we press Windows down arrow a second time and it would minimize that. Again, this window is not full size, so we press Windows down arrow and it will restore it down, and then a second time would essentially bring that window so that it's now minimized. I'm going to bring these windows back up just so that we can do a couple things with them. If you wanted to maximize a window, you can come up here and click this icon. However, you could also press the Windows key and the up arrow. Pressing the Windows key and the up arrow would maximize that window. So you have a couple of different choices. Again, pressing the Windows key and the up arrow on your keyboard would maximize that window. Now, lastly, we want to look at how to close your current workbook. If you want to close a current workbook, you come up here, press the little X icon. Those are very effective methods for closing a window. If you wanted to, you can also press the Alt key and the F4 key. Pressing the Alt key and the F4 function key will close Microsoft Excel windows. And then once you get to the last window that you have open in Microsoft Excel, we can tell that we only have a single window by bringing our cursor and scrolling over Excel here on the bottom part of our quick launch toolbar. Once we have a single window, if we press Alt F4, it will close that individual window as well as the application of Excel. So we have a single window. We want to close both Excel and that window, that Excel window. We press Alt F4 and it will close both the window and Excel. Now, if we want to close a specific window, but not the application of Excel, we would, instead of press Alt F4, we would go ahead and press Ctrl F4. Pressing Ctrl F4 will, you'll notice, close that specific window. So we no longer have a worksheet or a set of worksheets open, but Microsoft Excel is still active. From this menu, we could then press Ctrl N to create a new document, or if we were to press Ctrl F4, we can go back to this menu where Excel is running, but we have no document, no Excel file, no Excel workbook open. We could open a workbook with Ctrl O. So, in summary, in this video, we covered 11 different keyboard shortcuts. We first looked at how to create a new workbook by pressing Ctrl N. Pressing Ctrl N would generate a new workbook. We then looked at Ctrl O to open up an existing workbook. We looked at Ctrl S to save a workbook. If that workbook was already saved, it would essentially save it, but if it didn't save it, it would use save as. So let's just save it here as example 5. Boom, okay, Ctrl S will save it. Now, if we wanted to use save as, we press F12, super simple. If we want to use the print preview or print function, we can either press Ctrl P or Ctrl F2. Lastly, if we want to minimize Windows down, we can press Windows down arrow. And if we press Windows down arrow and we want to restore something back up to its full size, we press Windows up arrow. If we want to close a window, we can press Ctrl F4. Or lastly, if we want to close a window as well as the application, we can press Alt F4. And that would close both the window in Microsoft Excel as well as the application of Microsoft Excel. All right, so that is the 11 keyboard shortcuts that we wanted to cover here within Microsoft Excel, specifically addressing keyboard shortcuts for using the File menu. Now, if you have any comments, any questions, any ideas, go ahead and post those in the comments section of this video. We would really love to hear from you and figure out how to make this video better and make new videos, upcoming videos, more interesting, more effective, more useful to you. You can feel free to give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down for this specific video. And for those of you interested, consider subscribing to our channel, where every week we'll post additional tips, tricks, and keyboard shortcuts in Microsoft Excel, allowing you to really master the program. So with that, we're off. Go ahead and check out additional sections where we'll cover keyboard shortcuts for things like using the Excel ribbon, whether you want to use menus and dialog boxes in Microsoft Excel, workbooks, whatever you want to do in Microsoft Excel, we'll try to cover the keyboard shortcuts that will allow you to do that. So go ahead and check out the additional playlists and videos that we have on our channel, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks for watching. Cheers.